All right, let's go ahead and get started. I apologize for the slight delay. We do have Councilmember Dotson on the call, and I believe Councilman is
Ken's there.
Ken's there. All right, cool. All right, let's go ahead and get Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 Town Council work session. Call to order, and we always start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's go ahead and get started. If former Mayor Frazier would like to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Before we get into the agenda, I do want to add, I just want to take a moment to recognize a friend of the town, a friend of the beaches who passed away this week, George Owings. George was a delegate. He was a VA cabinet secretary for a Republican governor and a Democratic governor. You don't ever see that. He was heavily involved with the veterans. He was a Marine, so that's good. But he was such a huge friend of the beaches, and he passed away. I like to take a moment in silence to recognize George and all that he did for all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. George is probably telling me to hurry up, stop talking. All right. Let's move right into, as we go through the agenda, the next item on here is public comments. Obviously, we have a presentation tonight. Our work section tonight is dedicated to Mr. Russo and to his plan for shops and so forth that he was like to bring to the town of North Beach. For public comment, if you do have a public comment, what we ask is that you come up to the microphone, state your name and your address, where you live, and ask your question. Tonight's questions are about the project. Any questions you might have. What our goal tonight is for council to answer or to ask any question for Mr. Russo and get all the information. We know we've seen this a while ago, right before COVID. And so what we want to do now is just take an opportunity for council to get all of their questions. And also tonight's going to drive some more ideas and questions up that we will submit to Mr. Russo, but we also will make it public to everyone. So the information that we have in our possession, you have through board docs. So just log into board docs. We have steps on how to do it, but you can see all the information that we have. So tonight is about the presentation. I'll start because of the agenda for public comment, but if you want to hold off on public comment until maybe there's some other questions you might have, but we can start with public comment if anybody has any public comments.
Hi, Linda Wiley, live at 9133 Frederick Avenue in town here. I have comments about a couple of things. One is a few years ago, I saw Mr. Russo's presentation. When I moved to the beach 9 years ago, I liked it. My husband liked it because it's a small town. There's not a lot going on, and that's why we like it. So even the library, I think is too much. I love libraries, but I think it's the wrong place, the wrong time, too big. People can't see the beach anymore, and I look at Mr. Russo's presentation. I remember him doing that a few years back, and I kept thinking, this is just this little tiny town, we have enough. And I think that I would like to see my council people say, this is enough. We have enough. We have parking for what we need. We have stores. We have places of entertainment. We have restaurants. We have enough for this little town. We don't need to be, and I look at Chesapeake Beach and I think, my God, you can't even see the water anymore. And that's what's happening here. And it's upsetting to me that we don't have our little town feel anymore. If people want to go to some place where they can't see the water, where they can't enjoy the beach, where they can't see anything but buildings, they can go next door to Chesapeake Beach. And I just find it very disturbing because our little town is not our little town anymore. And it's really upsetting. And along with that, I see houses as they are sold being torn down and having these 2- and 3-story buildings put up. I see all the trees being cut down. We need our trees right now more than ever because of the climate situation. That's extraordinarily important to maintain our trees. And I'm not showing it right now, but I'm really upset about the possibility of something like what he's talking about coming in and taking over the whole waterway and everything. You know, I mean, it's just unnecessary. I'm also here because the water bill went up so much, and we have a lot of folks who are older who own, you know, I'm in one of those little beach houses, which I love. But a lot of our folks are older, like me. I'm in my 70s. My husband's 80 years old. Fixed income. We're okay, but there are a lot of people who are our age who are not. And to have the water bill go up like that so much, I find that disturbing too, because a lot of folks can't do that every time, you know, there's a need. So that, like I said, I mean, these are two things that I find very disturbing. And I say very, very disturbing for a lot of reasons. And please don't do it. Please do not do this project. Let us stay a little cute little town. Please don't take that away from us. Leave it the way it is. Okay?
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, yes. And then again, tonight's about the presentation. So, all right, let's go ahead and keep moving on. I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Russo to do his presentation to the council, to the public that's here tonight. Also, those are online. And then once Mr. Russo does his presentation, then council, please, whatever order you'd like to go in, we can start asking some questions. And again, tonight's not the only night. This is, I think the presentation is going to cause more questions to come up. So, which is a good thing. Floor is yours, Mr. Russo. Yeah.
Stop. Good evening. My name is Elena Russo, and I'm here to sort of start off this presentation. But first, before I do, thank you all for taking the time to devote to RAR Associates and what we're about to discuss tonight with you, with our community partners. And before I move on, I'd like to introduce everybody this evening. You know Ron Russo, founder, CEO, president of RAR Associates, also my father. Barbara Russo, chairman of the board, my mother. Ann Hooper, who has been a part of the Russo family for a long time, wears the hat as our chief marketing officer. And behind them, as a small sampling of some of our business leaders who have all invested their time and efforts in coming to the beaches to build their businesses. But at this point, you know, the shops at North Beach, as you already mentioned, Mayor Benton, has been a plan for a while here. And right now, we are at a pivotal point, an opportunity for us to come to the not just the leaders of our town council, but also to the members of our community, because RAR Associates is a community partner. What we want more than anything is to maintain this vision of a small town feel. And if you look at the last 40 years or more of the projects that Ron Russo at RAR Associates invested in this town, he not only chose North Beach as the optimal place to build his business, he chose North Beach to invest in. And the businesses and that he has developed have all maintained that small town feel. And we look to the shared vision of the residents here and to you in keeping that as we move forward with the North Beach shops. The North Beach shops, of course, will be just as quaint and just as charming as the town. There will be unique characteristics that you'll see in the plans tonight that lend itself to the look and feel of North Beach. So the direction of the project, while it is still under construction, I know a lot of your concerns are parking, but we will have those plans in place where while we're under construction, we will still have that availability for people to park when they come to town. But what I really want to get to what we want to get across tonight is that we have a unique opportunity with that piece of property. You know, that's the focal point of North Beach. That can't be a parking lot forever. We want that to be a place where we have sort of a shared space for the community. There will be not just small businesses, there will be incentives for our residents to be there to shop, to work, to relax. There will be spaces that will enable pedestrian-friendly zones. There will be spaces to encourage social interaction. I know there's been a discussion about closing that Fifth Street area, which we could do now. And you know, before the construction phase, and maybe move some of the festivities in town to that area if we were to absolutely get that area closed off. But again, we are committed at RIR Associates to sustainable development to protect not just the character of the town, but to meet the needs of the community, because we know that many people like you, Mayor Benton, grew up here. You remember when there was barely any traffic. Everybody knows everybody. We're not here to try to change that. Again, the projects that RIR Associates has invested in this town, I think, is a testament to our commitment to maintaining that small town atmosphere in anything that we build. And we do share that vision with the town. We, you know, are looking here tonight to get your buy-in, not just from the town council, but from our community members, from our business people. We, again, are all in this partnership together, and we hope that you will work with us in looking towards a future where North Beach is a place where the residents enjoy being here, coming out of their home after a long day of work, maybe even working here and enjoying all the things that it provides to us with its natural beauty and, of course, small town feel, because this project, as you will see, will be a win-win for all of us. We will all win at the end of the day if we get this project moving in the right direction, which I think we will, like, again, with your buy-in. But I'd like now to introduce you to our Chief Marketing Officer, Ann Hooper, who will give you a little bit more of the details in terms of the scope of the project and what we're looking to bring in terms of tenants.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor Benton. So I'm actually coming here with you with numbers. So everybody says, what's the Shops of North Beach, right? So it's proposed 20,132 square foot building that incorporates common areas, common restrooms, common atrium, a first floor with rentable square footage of approximately 8,847 square feet. That includes a restaurant, 2 retail spaces, and then artisan stalls. So what's an artisan stall? Essentially, we're taking some of what used to be the farmer's market that was extremely popular on First Fridays, now Saturdays once a month, and moving some of those artisans inside permanently year-round. This is a known concept throughout the United States, particularly in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., town of La Plata. Town of Leonardtown's done some of that with some of their artisan shop local buildings. It's a known workable concept that brings the community together. It also gives the artisans in a commercial space that's affordable, that also gives them the publicity that they need to move out of their home to give them a public space. There's a second floor proposed for the Shops of North Beach. It's about 4,804 square feet. The idea of the second floor is for professional offices. That would be geared around insurance, lawyers, your general medical uses. There is an elevator that would be servicing that second floor. Some of the other potential uses that we've talked to, now there's a couple of specific tenants that we've talked to, but more in general, are some restaurateurs, both coming and looking. They started looking at Von Cheese, but we made a selection of Von Cheese. But they've hung around and are still eyeing North Beach as a potential home for them, which would be something different than any of the existing businesses here. So we're not looking to compete with any of the existing businesses. We want to complement the businesses here. We want to make sure that what we bring here is something that the community wants, because if without the community support, the businesses won't thrive, especially in the off season. The other goal is that we want to maintain that small town while maximizing your biggest asset, which is the waterfront. So we want to make sure there's a focal point on the waterfront, especially with a restaurant, having some outdoor seating on the, there's a deck area that's proposed right outside of the restaurant. That would be a private deck area for that restaurant. RER is extremely selective in their tenants. They really try to do a good tenant mix to ensure that the business thrives and that we maintain the community that this community is seeking, which is that small waterfront feel. Now I'd like to turn the floor over to Ron, and he's going to talk to you about the third-party report that he has.
You know, before we built our office building on Chesapeake Avenue, I didn't realize this, but North Beach never had a dentist. Now we have one of the best and biggest dentist offices in the area. They're very well accepted, and the community thrives on their presence. And that's essentially what we're all about. We recognize that there's a lot of history to wherever we work, and that change does take place. And we're very sensitive to that. So everything we do is gentle rather than the shock movement. I have, and I'm sure most of you have seen these, and they're somewhat dated. Could you help me pass these out to the council people? Here you go, Lane. I won't dwell on this very long. Do we have one for Paul? But the cover letter is simply a reflection of the Planning Commission's response to our presentation back in 2019. You're probably wondering why we haven't moved on it much before this. A lot of things have gone on in the town, in the country, in the world. Interest rates are out of sight. When the time is right, if indeed you want it, we will build it. But what you have here is simply a compilation of two reports done by third-party consultants, one by the group in Baltimore called the Sage Policy Group, which is one of the biggest and best economic development consultants in the state of Maryland. And the second is by, you recall that planning group that came in from, I believe, from Chicago. There were a whole group of them, spent 4 or 5 days with us, and did a substantial analysis of the town and what it needed to bring about positive change for the town, consistent with the growth that we'd like to see here in the town. And I've highlighted some of the areas that need to be given some attention, and I won't identify all of them, but the fact is you at your leisure, go through them, take a look at them, refresh your memory. Some of you went on the council when the studies were done, but some of the items are still valid today. The big issue is doing something that's small, that's comfortable for the town, and that's not overwhelming. Our market is a needed desire that the consultants indicate is one of the strongest points that need to be created for the town. A hotel, a small hotel, a selective hotel, one that is choice which was developed by an architect that we hired from Virginia. They've done over 200 hotels throughout the country, and they've been in business for quite some time. And it's a boutique hotel, 55 to 60 rooms with a ballroom for 125 people for wedding venues and that sort of thing. As I say, there are some points here that are quite valid and should be considered when you make your decision with regard to things that we might be asking for concessions. There is another element to our presentation tonight, which I'd like to introduce, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor, and that is the existing business community and what they see for the town and how they would like to participate and make it work. So with your indulgence and with your permission, Mr. Mayor, absolutely, I'd like to ask one of the representatives from the business community to make a few points.
I'm Megan Vaughn. I am the owner of Vaughn Cheese Counter and Bar over on 7th Street. Thank you very much to everyone for letting us speak and listening and welcoming us so graciously to the town. So we are super happy and love being a part of the town of North Beach. And so one thing that is really important to us as small business owners, and I speak for the business community that's here, but also for those of us that couldn't be here tonight because we are running our businesses. And I think that one thing that's really important to us as we kind of stay here in town, as we progress through, is finding ways to continue to grow and support our existing small business community in a way that is reflective of how busy you all are and how much we want to grow and support ourselves. So what we have done, I've been working with LJ. He's the general manager of Amy's Awesome Gluten-Free Bakery. You might know him as having some of the most delicious treats at the North Beach Farmers Market every week, which we love. He and I have worked together to begin the start of the Twin Beaches Small Business Committee. And we have talked through some goals of ours of what we're hoping to do to simultaneously support and grow what we do, while also relieving some pressure from the town council, from people who have historically been needing to coordinate and run events and support the small businesses. So I wanted to talk through kind of what we had in mind to let you know that while all of these other ideas are happening, we are still thinking about the small businesses and the small town feel and vibe of what we have right now, because we don't want to lose that, while simultaneously knowing that the rising tide does raise all boats. And as a small business owner, as a fully self-funded business, we need to make sure that we are staying consistent, growing, and you know, taking care of our people and the town and people who want to come and visit us. So what we have in mind is to work together with the other small businesses to first have a more robust calendar of events to help foster a more community environment. Have more aggressive advertising to help bring people to the events, actual physical and digital calendars to help bring people to these events and to our businesses, better and more strategic layouts for these events, thinking through your idea, Mr. Benton, about Mayor Benton, about closing down that small section of 5th Street, moving the farmers market to that area so that way we can have more of a focal point right at the center of town. Also having the idea of totally different events, not just the same kind of events that we have thus far, while simultaneously opening up to the communities, having this idea of like good vibes only sort of brainstorming events with the community. As well as a database of resources for our small businesses to support us during services, during days that we are busy, that we might need additional support. Now, this could all seem like a lot, and I could be standing here saying, hey, now make all that happen. But what we're looking to do actually is to find ways ourselves to do that while just liaising with a specific person on the council, both with the town of North Beach, the town of Chesapeake Beach, and also with the county at large to allow us to take over some of these events that have happened historically, that we can be growing them and just have a specific liaison on the council. So that way you can focus on what you need to do and we can focus on what we would love to do as well. For us, I think that it is important to know that we love this town. We love the community. The small businesses are really what sets us apart. And I think that, I mean, I know for certain that the people who are kind of behind me are really focused on that as well. And that they are focused on making sure that the people who come into town really represent what the small business brand is and how important that is. So just wanted to say thank you. And that we're all here to make the small businesses stay awesome. So wanted to also toss it over to Cisco, who has some very specific information to add as well. Thanks, guys.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Francisco Jimenez. I'm the co-owner of Dusk and Willow with my lovely wife Jenny. And we opened about 15 months ago. And what I'd like to put out is when we started, we were upstairs above the Bacchus. There were no available storefronts at that point in time. So in this past July, there was available space where the Curtis Realty was. We moved down there, and just by having actual available storefront, walkable storefront, our total number of sales increased by 45% over the same 3-month period between actual transactions and total gross profit. Totally attributable to having that space. As you all know, right now, there are no other spaces like that really at this point in time in North Beach. So having the shops at North Beach would provide that same benefit to others that are looking to potentially grow their business, or if they've started off small, now they've potentially got another avenue for that. So that I think would be really good, help bring in just a little bit more value to the entire city. Also, having the town or the North Beach shops also brings another kind of foot point to the end of kind of the walking spaces, right? So it kind of almost makes a big circle, and it will at least drive a little bit more walkability across the entire area.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes our presentation, and we would certainly appreciate the time that you've taken to listen to us and your consideration for any concessions that you can make in terms of developing the project in the future.
So, Mr. Russo, I know you had the cards with the pictures and so forth. Maybe just do because you're right. We have a lot of new council members now. And I know before you guys, perfect. If you could just like walk us through and then maybe turn around and show the residents, like, what is your vision with this plan that you're presenting tonight?
First of all, I think though there's varying comments, and I think we have one of the most beautiful buildings in the county right now that's being built, and that's the library. And hopefully this is going to fit next to it, with somewhat smaller scale, but it's a 2-story. The shops is a 2-story building, as Ann pointed out. Market on the first floor, and by the way, we have no waterfront restaurants, and that highlights what the recommendations made by the planning group. As a small 100 restaurant fronting on the property right there. Thought is to build the shops first. We will maintain the balance of the lot for parking for all as locals. And in addition, if there is the need for additional parking, we have the lot that's next to corner of 3rd and Chesapeake, which 1,000 square feet. We can fit a number of cars there too, if we needed to provide parking for the town, until the town builds its own parking facility at some point in time. Got to the hotel when time is right, and there indeed is a market for it, and I'm sure there will be as we progress. The boutique hotel, it's a small wedding venue, and it has 2 restaurants, one on the first floor and then a lounge on the second floor, and I think it'll be highly desirable. The first floor of the shops It has an open area for market space and then offices, just like Cisco pointed out, not offices, but the retail shop on the perimeter. That's one in the front. And then the second floor.
Those drawings that you see now are on board docs. If you look in the back there and here, we have the ways that you can get them. So for the residents to see everything that Mr. Russo is presenting, we do have it that you can get it, you can print it out, you can look at it. And just want to make sure you're on the same page.
Second floor of the shops is a variety of offices, found an atrium, which is but it has small offices. And believe me, there is a need for offices in this town. We built the office building at 91 Avenue. And not only did we rent them right away, but then we condominiumized the building and we sold all of them except for 2 that we held on to. So the need is here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So I know we have Councilmember Dotson and Wilcox, I believe, is online. I don't really care what order we go in, but yeah, I'll tell you what, yeah, great idea. Thank you. Why don't we go ahead and go back to the public comment now that there's been a presentation? Obviously we have our questions we're going to ask, but does any public comment, if you have a public comment, just come on, state your name and your home address.
Name is Patricia Lees, or I'm on 3917 4th Street. And I guess my question is, it sounds like the business owners and property owners are going to benefit from this the most. What about the common people that may not be business owners, that are on a fixed income? You know, it feels like the money is coming from a lot of these people that don't, I mean, it has to come from somewhere. And it feels like it's coming from people in the community that may not be business owners, maybe on a fixed income, maybe struggling. So how is this big idea going to help the regular people in the town? And also, I just got back from traveling and I got my water bill. When is that water bill going to be capped? Because it just went up one time before and it seems to be going up, you know, incrementally and kind of suspiciously. So I'm like, where is, like, I'm just like, something feels a little spooky here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. Any other public comment before we move to council? Yep.
Thanks. My name is Brian Davis. I live at 4031 2nd Street. And I apologize in advance. I'm going to try to make this relevant to the topic. When I was in high school, I was the shyest person ever. My best friend, who I still have from high school, said I never spoke to anyone. I'm an introvert and shy still. But what brought me out to be able to talk to people, even up to today, to be able to come up and do this, is theater. Theater was a really critical experience for me in high school. When my family moved here to North Beach, my son got involved with Twin Beach Players. My youngest son is a very high functioning person with autism, on the autism spectrum. He was accepted and I watched him grow through that program and found out that Twin Beach Players has an incredibly valuable program for kids that brings in kids and works with kids. I'm here. I just retired from WSSC, the water company that serves Prince George's and Montgomery counties. I could probably speak to why your rates have gone up, because I understand that stuff. One of the things I did with that organization was strategic planning, and Twin Beach Players has asked me to advocate for them with regard to strategic planning. In a recent meeting, we talked about having more volunteers, getting grants, and getting a dedicated space. The Boys and Girls Club is a great space for them because it's been free for them. However, when I look at what Port Tobacco Players has and what Newtown Players has, they have beautiful spaces that they don't pay for. That's a county issue, I know. What I'm really here to do is ask the business owners, because when there's change, there is often opportunities, right? Things move around. and also ask the council to be advocates for Twin Beach players and to look for opportunities to help Twin Beach players grow. Thanks.
Any,
My name is Monica Lowe. I live at 4111 3rd Street, North Beach. So my question is, excuse my ignorance on this because I have a new business, but is there a way, if they are to come to town, to allow the residents like a first refusal to some of these facilities? Is there a way to let the residents of North Beach be the people who run the restaurants or participate in the restaurants? Is there a way that we actually get to benefit first before we allow outside money to come into our town and create something that, just like she said earlier, I love saying on my Facebook that I live in a Mayberry town. I love saying, I love the community. I love knowing the dogs' names before I know the people's names. And I would love to continue to have that beautiful feeling. I love supporting the elderly. I love giving them the vegetables out of my front and backyard. I want to keep that. I don't really want it to be such a touristy place that we lose that commitment and love for one another. But if there was a way that we could be the people who get the first opportunities to these spaces, maybe it is a benefit for our town. So that's what I have to say.
thank you so much, Monica. Any other? All right, let's move right to the council.
Mayor,
Yes,
do you want me to read what was typed in the chat online?
absolutely.
I did place in there if they wanted to speak during public comment to put their name and address here, but I just have messages from
All right, thank you. All right. All right, just making notes. Who would like to lead off, council members?
I'd like to ask a question about the parking, because that always seems to be a problem here. You have this new thing you want to put up and bring in more business. How many parking spaces roughly do you have once you build the building? And you do have another lot too. So how many spaces do you think you could get there?
Mr. Russo could come to the mic, please, because otherwise I can't hear you online.
Okay, sorry. 125 spaces in the parking for the hotel and the shops. Obviously, there'll be more when just the shops is there. I own the site here on 3rd Street. It's 18,000 square feet. Divide that by 312. Paul, you're pretty good with math. Divide that by 312. That'll tell you how many spaces we can get there. I think it's about another 60 spaces if we needed that. 57?
Oh, sorry. You're right.
I thought you're doing the math, but it's another 60 spaces.
Another 60 spaces. And then will those be pay to park?
No, the ones that are for the shops and hotel, no.
No.
pay to park.
But the other one, would that be pay to park?
Well, only if it's open to the public,
Okay.
like the lot we have now. Which incidentally has been fairly successful. And I know that we rented that to the town for, again, it's before your time, Ms. Healy, but 20 years at least. And we started out with a very, very low rent. And I think we sort of blasted the mayor out of his seat. For the last year, we rented it a little bit higher. He
Mhm.
decided not to proceed with it.
I heard.
But we, with the public parking, and, started out at reasonable rates. We did better, in terms of, the rates, the total income. But so it worked out really well. And that we were happy with it. And believe it or not, I know it was tough at first, but people don't like to get their cars towed. And, they were very aggressive at first, the towing people. And after a while, people got used to it, and there were very, very few towings after that. Of course, there are always some who want to get away with a free parking space, but it worked out pretty well, I think.
Thank you.
By the way, your idea of shutting down Fifth Street, I think it's a great idea. So if the council will consider that and make that part of your promenade or whatever for your markets, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. You want to keep going, Mary? You have any more that you want to go with?
No, not right now. I lost that other page.
All right. Mickey or Lauren or Greg or Ken, who wants to go? I know you'll have questions.
I can go for right now. This is for Ron, and it's doesn't need an answer. It's just looking at the plans, and I know it's all conceptual right now based on how you get tenants and arrangement and where you land for final plans. The restaurant space you have on the shops, on the plans we have, feels small. And I say it feels small because on the plan, it's like 1,400 square feet. And for reference, Von Cheese is like 2,300 square feet. And you can speak to how more space would always be better with Von Cheese. No? Okay. Yeah. Because I'm referencing like you, because you have the 20, like, you know how like your kitchen space and how you can operate with your front of house, your back of house, and your seating outside.
Yeah, so I think that just speaking to Vanchi specifically, we tried to design it and work with Mr. So in a very specific way to make it such that we could really get to know all the people who came in. Like I mean, I don't want it any bigger. Would we tweak a couple of things? Yeah, I would, move a sink or whatever. But I think that largely the size space that we have is really perfect because it means that when a guest comes in, and almost all of you can speak to this, I can speak to every single person who walks through my door every single time, and I know them. And, speaking to the community, like we know our people, we know the people who come in, and especially from a restaurant perspective, bigger isn't always better, because if you want to really focus on having the business speak to what your goal is, what you're trying to do, like for us, it's about fostering a sense of community and being really present in our space. And I think that for us, I would most certainly not want to get any bigger. We have the ability to get to know everybody, and that feels really wholesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Should point out that small restaurant has an outdoor deck, and that would be the only restaurant in town that has waterfront dining. I don't remember exact square footage, but it does make sense to.
Yeah, on my end, like I'm from a catering company, and the thing I wish we had more of was back of house space and storage. So it's like we're tight, and it's like I wish I could take some of my front of house space for storage. So I'm used to that battle. So it's just seeing that number, it's like that felt small because like I'm looking in my head, okay, if I make a line, how big's my line? And thinking like, okay. So, but thank you.
Add, if you don't mind, I'm going to respond. We envision users of that interior market to be some of the people who now participate in the indoor market, who may want to do it on a permanent basis instead of just weekends. And could speak to this a little bit more intelligently than I can, but I can envision something like the Lexington Market up in Baltimore, where there are just a lot of small businesses trying to, make ends meet, whether they be residents of the town of North Beach or farmers from Dunkirk. It doesn't make any difference to us as long as they're successful at it.
I missed the comparison. So the restaurant that they're proposing is smaller or bigger than Von Cheese?
So right now on the concept plan that we have, the square footage for the restaurant space they've bookmarked is about 1,400 square feet. So it's smaller than what Vaughn has. And Vaughn is happy with their space and how they operate it for their business model and how they want to engage with their clients. So it just, it started.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how many people sit inside Von Cheese. 42. And so they're half the size of that? So I'm saying, is it going to be enough space for a real restaurant? If that, I don't mean to say you're not a real restaurant. What I'm saying is, I know that you do a lot of charcuterie type stuff, right? But is it enough for fryers and seafood and, you know what I mean, dining in?
That's where we'll come to the marketing, and when they reach out to the people who are interested in the space, what their specific space needs are for whatever their business they're bringing in.
But that is the max though, 14.
That's why I said, like, I know it's at concept before you've gone out and talked to possible vendors and tenants on what they may need, because that may change the plan before they come to construction.
Okay.
That's why I said it was all like, it's all contingent on our concept that we're seeing right now, the space they have bookmarked.
So
Okay.
Nikki, that's 14 inside. But
Yes.
The deck is, but that would be seasonal.
There is an additional restaurant in the
Okay.
Thank you.
You come up, you gotta state your name and your address. That's right.
Do it again. Linda Wiley, 9133 Frederick Avenue. So what you're saying is you're saying that you want the people of North Beach who are used to our cute little town to say that we don't care that you're bringing in all this stuff, that you're having a 4-story building brought in, and you're going to bring all these people in, and our town is essentially going to look, and you mentioned in the future having parking facilities, which says to me, the parking garage, which is ugly and big and obnoxious, that's over in Chesapeake Beach, that's what we're going to have. We're going to have Chesapeake Beach here. And that's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like. And it's really disturbing. I don't want to live in Chesapeake Beach. When I came back to Maryland, I came back because I love Maryland and I enjoy being back in Maryland. I love our little town. And this proposal says it ain't going to be that way. This proposal shows me the very large building and people coming in from all over the place, and none of the people here really having any say in this. I feel like we're being railroaded into building this monstrosity. I'm sorry. It is a pretty building, but it doesn't belong here. It does not belong here. And we don't want to have, I don't want to drive home and go past. When I go past Chesapeake Beach, I keep saying, thank God I don't live in Chesapeake Beach. And now I'm terrified that all of this stuff is going to turn our little town into Chesapeake Beach, where there is no beach. And when I was a little girl, I used to go to Chesapeake Beach back in the 50s, 60s. It was a wonderful place. We had a beach to go to. You could see the beach. You could see the bay. I can't see the bay now, partly just because of the library. I mean, I want to be able to see the bay. I want it to stay the same. I don't like this. And I think a lot of people who live in North Beach are going, oh my God, what are they bringing in?
All right, thank you so much. But what we're going to do is get through the council questions, and obviously residents can, but just make sure we're all on the same page here, because we know how rumors start out there in the town. This is a presentation to us. This is no commitment. Nobody's doing anything. There's nothing planned. There's no back meeting. This is just them presenting an idea to the town, and the residents have the opportunity to sit in on this. That's all this is. So it doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just a presentation. That's all it is. So council, who else? So we can get, all right, you want to? All right, Lauren.
All right, I've got one question. There was reference made to dedicated spaces for pedestrians, places to relax, outdoor space. Can you talk in a little more detail about what your vision is for that, where it would be, what it would look like? And you discussed this project in terms of kind of like phasing where the shops would come first and then the hotel potentially second. If this open space, would this open space be in the place where the hotel might be? Or would it be there after the hotel is built? So I would like to have as much detail as you can provide on the outdoor open space, pedestrian friendly, places to relax, park setting, whatever you're thinking of.
Elena Russo again. The pedestrian friendly zones. I mean, I don't know how well you can see on this, but there is areas where you can sit and enjoy the sort of not covered porch, but I don't know, what do you call that? Like the deck area. There has been conversation to do some sort of outdoor area where we could have weddings, we could have like small concerts, but you can't see that from this picture. It would be sort of in the center, almost like a courtyard. So those are the pedestrian friendly spaces that I'm talking about, where you can have the social interaction. I was also referring to the closure of Fifth Street because that would be just adjacent to this building. So that would be part of hopefully the plan as we move forward. And that, like I said earlier, that could happen prior to the actual construction. Does that answer your question?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I had one more question. So again, it seems like you're presenting this in phases. You do the shops first and potentially a hotel second. If the shops were to go in place, what is your timeline, your estimated timeline for when a hotel might follow?
The hotel depends on the market, but with regard to the shops, we'd like to go through one more year of temporary parking for the public on our parking lot, for the entire parking lot, and then start driving piles sometimes in the fall of next year.
Okay, so these would be two standalone buildings. It doesn't show it
They'll
on.
be contiguous. They'll be attached. They're not standalone.
So if you were to do the shops first, that would be a standalone building.
Yes.
And then you could attach
Attached
at
this
some point.
Hotel to exact. There's a common wall there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good evening, Elizabeth Lawton, 9232 Erie Avenue. So in the presentation from the Boys and Girls Club, and then also tonight, there's a lot of use of the word partnership and community partnership. And partnerships usually, from my experience, connotate a written document of some sort signed by a bunch of people that actually outlines the benefit that each person in the partnership receives or is going to receive through the partnership. I would like to know if we have those documents somewhere and if we could make those public so that we could really understand what the basis of these partnerships are and what the benefits are to each member in this partnership. Thank you.
When you say partnership, what are you talking about?
So
We
there,
don't have a partnership with this organization.
that's my point.
But
my-
we're not saying partnership.
I'm not going to argue with you, Mayor. Thank you so much. I'll put it in writing.
All right.
Jill Leeser again, 3917 4th Street. Just putting in a plug here for our teenage population here, our youth. How is this going to help those young children, those teenagers, young adults who really are falling by the wayside? We need something for them, okay?
Council, any other questions up here? Councilman Dotson, I know there's a lot to take in. Any other questions? Councilman Wilcox?
Nothing
Yes.
for me right now, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilman Wilcox?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there were three of us who were at the original presentation, I want to say back in 2015 or 16 of this concept. And also I do recall bits of the report from the American Planning Association when they came there back in the same period of time. as a concept and as a phasing in, of dealing with putting in the businesses, the restaurant, I think is a positive and wise way to approach it. Because soon there's a few other components that are coming in. One being the library, that'll be sometime mid next year at some point. And as Mr. Russo said, they're not driving pylons until 2025 or so. We've had a discussion last month talking about parking and how to expand the parking by, I want to say somewhere around 50 extra spots with no increase in actual size capacity. It's just reconfiguration. So there's already a couple things that are going on. It's always said about many times with libraries, they end up to be a magnet for other community services and businesses. So this is the first step. So I think as a concept overall, to go forward with small shops and a small restaurant in the near future, and then in the mid future, adding in the hotel. As I said, I remember the study before, and Mr. Russo is very well aware of what they had said about the hotel back then. And I think going forward with small businesses first, start to draw in more people, and they won't be staying. And this is something we've always been talking about with parking, is that it is more of wave parking than it is permanent parking. Not as if we all of a sudden put up, tall apartment buildings that you have permanent residents. These are wave parking that would happen during normal business hours, and then everybody head back home. So I like where this is going. I know we are only stage one of this. This is the talking side of things, but I just want to say the direction this is going, I find that very positive.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Council members, who else?
Question. I think it was on. I recall the last time we spoke about this, there was discussion on the phased approach, doing the shops first and then the library, excuse me, then the hotel. I think one of the concerns was if we put just the shops there on its own, there's going to be that wall that would have connected to the hotel that is basically going to be this big, huge, flat surface. Was there any additional thought on how that would sort of maybe be improved so that it's not just like this gigantic wall that's there when the hotel has yet to be built?
I did point out that the shops is an atrium building. It's clear floor from the first floor all the way to the roof. And I believe there are a number of skylights on that roof. I do have a sketch with the architect of temporarily putting some windows on the south side of that wall that becomes contiguous hotel. That's not a done deal, but that's something we're considering.
And if I get add one idea about that, because right now I'm up in Annapolis right now, and in many rather large blank walls among the buildings here in Annapolis is that they've put up murals. And I think that may be a concept, which isn't a bad thing. And of course, it'd be temporary until the new hotel comes in. And then, of course, it would disappear. But I think that would be something to explore because you have this large canvas that something could be added in. But I just throw that out there of an idea of what can you do with that south side wall, I guess is the best way to describe it.
More notes. Council, what other questions? Mickey, you have anything?
For being at this point in the concept phase, my questions may come in with more particulars into the next phasing of like, this is exactly what it is. It's like, cool. You thought about where the grease trap goes, where's that going? Where's the drainage going? How's that handled? And this would come under a development agreement. So it'd be back to us anyway for development agreement talks. So so maybe at that point, I may have other things based on how we go with the development agreement and its conversations. So
To be clear, when he says development agreement, we're not saying we're doing a development agreement. All we're saying is there's many phases that go through to get to the final product. So just want to make sure that's clear based off of that comment. Yes.
So it seems like a lot of work was put into this in 2019 and before that, and then it just stopped. Why did it stop?
A lot of things stopped. We had pandemic. Interest rates out of sight. Borrowing money is very expensive. Today, it's even more expensive. It didn't make any sense, and I didn't feel comfortable that the market was here. But I have a sense now, talking to my business associates, that people are coming to town and spending money. I think you've heard that with Megan tonight and the other business owners as well. This is a very desirable town. And it makes sense to me now, to at least on a limited basis, to go ahead and consider doing the shops as a phase one. We did put this up a bid, by the way. I forget the date. I think it was probably about, how long ago? 4 years ago, I think, when we were talking about this before. I got 7 or 8 bids, and they range from $12 million to $17 million. I'm sure it'd be more than today, because the cost of material went up as well. But in terms of my comfort level, had a consultant do a study for us in terms of the feasibility and the success of the venture. And they made it quite clear that a hotel was going to be marginal. And that's why we stopped. Feel comfortable about the shops. And I think if you allow us to put up the hotel, I think that has a good chance of being very successful, particularly if we boutique it. It cut down on the size from the original plans for both the hotel as well as the shops. I think we're getting closer to something that's going to work.
Just a follow on, what was the original size of the hotel?
We were up to about 70 rooms, I think, 75 rooms, something like that.
And now you said about 60 or 50?
5 to 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you have anything? You good? Good. Mary, you good?
For now.
Right. Councilman Dotson, Councilman Wilcox, you have any closing remarks?
Nope, a little too early for me. I'll wait. Thank you.
No, and I'm starting to drive, so counseling and driving are not compatible.
Absolutely not. All right, let me look at mine. So, as I've stated many times, this is the first discussion, I'm sure of many, with residents, with R&R. I appreciate the presentation tonight. I appreciate the residents coming out. Stay tuned. You're going to hear more about it. We're going to make sure that everybody's involved in this whole process, as we always do. And other than that, I'm going to go ahead and close our meeting tonight. And again, thank you so much for coming. This is a work session. This is what it's about. If you have more questions, reach out to us, get them to us. We'll do our best to get them answered. And other than that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, second, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you so
Aye.
much for coming.